Hello and welcome to another video. If you've never been here before, my name is Melissa and I was a Bath & Body Works employee, actually a part-time manager for about 6 years. I thought it was due time that I finally post a Q&A about Bath & Body Works because I definitely have my fair share of stories, both good and bad and funny, as well as some deep dark secrets that the company might not want you to know. Just as a quick disclaimer, I no longer work for the company, so I am free to say what I want, and all information I'm giving you in this video is based on my personal testimony. It is not factual 100% from the company source. It is from my perspective. I might be incorrect sometimes, or it might vary from store to store, so on and so forth, so just please don't quote me too heavily on these things. This video is solely for entertainment and maybe a little education if you're thinking about working there. I had all in all a good experience and I don't have any like super bad feelings about Bath & Body Works, so, or else I probably wouldn't have a channel about Bath & Body Works now that I think about it. But either way, just know that I'm coming from like a good place with the company, but I do not speak for the company. I just speak for myself who has worked for the company. Does that make sense? Okay, anyways. Without further ado, this is going to be the first installment of 2 parts. If I don't get around to answering your question, just stay tuned because the next video after this one will be the part 2. Oh, and this might be a long one, so grab a coffee. I got mine in my gingham mug, of course, because why not? Oh, and if you see me looking down, it's because I've got my phone here with all the questions on it, so. First question. How exactly does MOS work? I only recently learned about it. So, MOS stands for marked out of stock or system. Marked out of the system or marked out of stock. I can't remember. Either way, pretty much means the same thing. Once a year, we take inventory of every single sellable merchandise item in the store, and we have to do those little scanner gun things and just pretty much account for how much merchandise is in the store. And then what happens each year when we do this is there's going to be a select amount of items that was sellable at one point, but now is no longer sellable, whether it's because it's very old or just outdated, or we're just done with that product. Pretty much what happens to all of those is we kind of collect it throughout the year. Sometimes we know when it's going to be one, like for example, if we get a return from a customer, it's completely sealed, unused, they were given it as a gift and they wanted to exchange the scent, but that shower gel they bring back, let's say, is 2 years old. That's probably going to be marked out of the system, MOS, you know, no longer in our system anymore, but it was at one point. So pretty much what happens with all of these items that are no longer sellable is they get scanned out of the system and then we collect them up in like a big box, or sometimes there's so much we have like cartfuls of them, but either way we have them all collected up in the back room and then we host an MOS sale for the employees. So what that means is usually it might depending on the store. I was in a small store, so they allowed us to grab 2 medium-sized of those paper Bath & Body Works bags and stuff them as full as we can with all of the MOS products. And then with those bags, you get to take those home, but you do spend $5 per bag. So I could walk away with 2 big bagfuls, stuffed to the brim, all sorts of stuff, candles, hand soaps, you name it, and only walk away spending $5, $10, which was pretty awesome. What happens is if there's leftover and nobody wants these products anymore, is they will get thrown away, unfortunately. Usually my store was pretty good about it. If everybody got their chance to pick what they wanted, they would let people who might have wanted more to go back and get another bag worth, or 2 bags, or however much they want, as long as they're paying for the $5 per bag thing. So yeah, it was a really great way to get a lot of product. That's why part of the reason I have so many like duplicates or off-season things or things that are a little bit older. I've gotten some pretty large hauls from that for very little money. So that's pretty much MOS in a nutshell. I hope that answers that question well enough. What drives sales the most, home fragrance or body care? So once again, this might vary from store to store, but as a company as a whole, they always taught us that body care was our bread and butter. We pretty much want to drive body care sales the most, and when we're on the sales floor doing our thing, selling to customers, it's usually to sell them body care. If we ever went red, which, you know, there's green, which means you're making your sales plan, and then there's red. If you were ever in the red or not making your sales plan, it was usually because we needed to sell more body care, because they would actually show us a chart of all of this is what we call blue chips or categories that we sell. So there's home fragrance, body care, and then there is the soaps and sanitizers. So those are like the 3 main blue chips. It would show us a percentage of what our sales comprise of. You know, it'd be like, oh, 45% of your sales comes from home fragrance and, so on and so forth. And usually if we were red, it was because our body care was red. So we needed to increase our sales in body care. So hopefully that answers that question. Which fragrances sell the most, in which formulations, and what factors affect their sales, like time of year, location, etc.? So company-wide, we have kind of our holy grail in terms of the body care fragrances that were considered best sellers. That would usually be Orange Ginger Energy, Eucalyptus Spearmint Stress Relief, Thousand Wishes, Warm Vanilla Sugar. Oh, Japanese Cherry Blossom is another one. It's not that I sold personally. I'm in a small town in Idaho and it's a college town. So I personally didn't sell these fragrances that often. I mean, they were always tried and trues and people were picking them up all the time. But really what I saw was people coming in for the seasonal fragrances, and it was usually what was on those front tables, the new stuff that come and go. That's really what I usually sold a lot of. But in the later years, Fairy Tale was doing really well. In the Stars does really well. That's kind of more of a modern take on it. Like I said, I had been there for 6 years, so I kind of have a little bit of when I first started working there, what I kind of thought I sold a lot of versus when the last time I worked there, what I was selling a lot of. It's a pretty good mix, but I do have to say that the Stress Relief, Eucalyptus Spearmint, and Orange Ginger Energy kind of have a pretty strong following and make a lot of sales in that way. Thousand Wishes, Japanese Cherry Blossom, kind of those signature collection, those main ones that you will always see in stores. Kind of a part 2 of that question was what factors affect sales, like time of year and location. So the most time we make sales, of course, is November through January. So that would be our fourth quarter Christmas shoppers. And then right immediately after Christmas, we have January semi-sale, which also brings in a lot of money for us too. As for location and stuff, I know personally, I'm in Idaho and it's very cold and very dry here. So I did actually see that affect our sales in the sense that I would sell body creams, but rarely would I ever sell body lotion. Body cream tends to be thicker and people tend to prefer a body cream, that thicker formula, when they need something a little more intensive for really dry skin, as opposed to body lotion is better for kind of a lightweight overall moisturizer. So I sold way more body creams because of that kind of geographical situation. Another thing that was kind of geographical that affected sales a lot was I live in a college town, so oftentimes summer would be dead. I'd see nobody because all the students leave. So a popular time to go shopping would be kind of late August, early September, because all of the new students would be coming in with their moms and dads, and mom would be taking their daughter shopping to go get wallflowers for the new dorm and all this stuff. And we were right across from a Bed Bath & Beyond. So we were kind of a part of this little tag team. Okay, Bed Bath & Beyond will get you your furniture and your bedding and all that stuff. And then we'll get you your candles, your home fragrance, your new toiletries for the year, essentially. So it was kind of cool to see that my store specifically really thrived during that kind of new time when students and their parents would come. But of course, college students tend to be known as being broke, and so once mom and dad left, it would be kind of chirp, chirp, we would need customers. So we would kind of influx just depending on what's going on with the university. Do BOPUS orders count towards conversion? BOPUS is buy online, pick up in store. Unfortunately, I can't really answer this question accurately because by the time they started doing the buy online, pick up in store, I had already left the company, and also my store is such a small volume store that we don't even do BOPUS anyway. Just an educated guess is yes. Conversion is pretty much a thing that retail stores will use, and Bath & Body Works uses this very heavily. If someone, okay, so this is the entrance of your store. If you cross that line into the store, that's a tally towards conversion. When you walk out again, another tally towards conversion. So anytime you make a purchase, it will also count towards it. So pretty much what happens is it averages the amount of times someone crosses that entrance line versus how many purchases or transactions were ran through. So let's say one person walks in, they walk in, buy something, and then walk out. That would be a 100% conversion. That means that we converted that customer, they bought something, everyone that walked in the store at that moment bought something, so we did our job. Let's say a couple walked in, like a husband and a wife or something. They walk in, make one purchase, walk out. That would be a 50% conversion because 2 people walked in, and that's why we're always like wanting to try and split up groups and sell to them, because we do look at conversion numbers, and it does heavily affect how we run as a business. My guess is that BOPIS is taken into account for conversions. So yes, it's going to track that person coming in to pick up their order. Yes, it's going to track them coming out of the store. But my guess is that if you've made that purchase online, the system will know that, okay, we've got, X number of transactions and X number of BOPIS orders, and this is how many people walked in and out. They'll take that into consideration. So I don't think it will hurt it necessarily. I think it will take it into consideration. But that's just my guess. I could be completely wrong. Apart from events and holidays, what season brings in more customers? Aside from events and holidays, one time we had a lot more customers because a softball team came into town. Like, it could be as random as that. Like, literally the whole softball team and all their parents came in. So sometimes it's just completely random depending on your town. I guess that's kind of like an event. It pretty much does really reflect on the calendar and events and stuff like that. So for example, every year we have a holiday, like a Christmas concert, and kids from different high schools come into town to perform at this university that we have in our town. And so that happens once a year. They always hit up the mall to eat their dinner, and I don't really know why, because we don't have that many restaurants in our mall, so it's just kind of annoying. But we tend to see a huge increase in traffic on that particular day. But to answer the question, in terms of Christmas and Valentine's Day, aside from those, the biggest traffic increase we see is during semi-annual sale, which happens twice a year, and it's in January, or like the day after Christmas going through January, and then there's one that starts in kind of early to mid-June and usually goes for about a month, depending on availability of products. We bring in a lot of traffic during those clearance sales because a lot of people know about that, those good prices, and that is the time to shop. It really is. Why doesn't everyone receive coupons? I have signed up countless times and never received one. Unfortunately, this is an issue that we don't really know as employees that work in the store. We don't really know why this happens. It's something that's more on a corporate level that's dealt with. We're not the ones that send out the coupons or choose who gets coupons and who doesn't. The only advice as a sales associate or a manager inside a store is to follow these steps. First of all, every time you make a purchase, make sure that you are giving your phone number. Do the email too, but it's especially that phone number that gets you those coupons, because it does a reverse directory to your house address. If the associate that's ringing you up, if at the end of your purchase they don't ask you what's your phone number, spell your email, then you need to bring it up to their attention and be like, hey, can I sign up for the coupons, or can you take my phone number so that I can get those coupons? Hopefully that shouldn't be happening, because we are all trained very heavily to make sure to get that phone number captured. The second step is to do a separate customer sign up in stores. You could go up to the associate that's working that day and be like, hey, I've been having issues not receiving any coupons, even though I always give my phone number at the end of the purchase. Could we go on the register and do a separate customer sign up? And we do have like a form we can click on and we can fill. Just be prepared to give your full name, your address, your zip code, your state, your city, your phone number and email. Maybe like your birthday or something. Another pro tip is to try and use a different phone number if you have another one. If you have a cell number and a home phone number and you've only been giving the cell phone, try the home phone number, or vice versa. Or if you have another phone number that you can use, like say you're shopping with your husband, you could use your husband's phone number, or your boyfriend, or your roommate, someone that you live with. Because at the end of the day, you just want to get those coupons to come to your house address. So it doesn't really matter who the name is for, as long as it's getting to your address. So I do know that the coupons are frequency based. Even if you've only given your phone number one time, when you go shopping, be like, oh, they already have it in the system. Make sure you don't skip it. You need to do it again, because the more you put in your phone number, the better coupons you'll get, or the higher up on the list, I guess, you'll be considered to be sent coupons. So always, always, always give your phone number. And I'm sorry that's happening. You can also, I hate saying this, but you can call the 1-800 customer service number. Sometimes they've been able to help, sometimes not. So I don't know. That's about what an employee can do for you in the store. How large is the disconnect between the online community and the general public? Completely different for me, at least. Like I mentioned, I'm in Idaho. I'm in a small town. Our mall is kind of dying a little bit. Like, it's doing all right, and it's definitely improved since we've gotten a Target in. But honestly, my Bath & Body Works, I feel like, was the life of the mall. And even then, like, people would just kind of come to hang out. They don't really come in on a mission all the time. The online community for Bath & Body Works, at least what I've seen, YouTubers and people who run the Facebook groups or are part of the forums or anything like that I've seen are just so enthusiastic about Bath & Body Works. And I feel like I'm like, where were you as my customers when I was an employee there? Because it would have been so much more fun to interact with customers who are like the people who are asking these questions for my Q&A or watching this video right now. I would go to work and like, hi, what brings you into Bath & Body Works today? Are you looking for home fragrance or body care? Just looking. And it's like, oh. So I'm always surprised at like how disinterested the people were when they would come in stores. I just really wanted more customers that were actually into it, because I was into it and it kind of just, I don't know, it was a little bit embarrassing to be like super enthusiastic about it. And the people who would come in just like, I'm just here to get my kitchen lemon hand soap. And they just like get like one thing and leave. So I actually had a lot of customers that just really didn't care that much about Bath & Body Works. They're just kind of doing it dutifully, or people would just kind of like randomly be walking the mall and be like, oh, look, there's a Bath & Body Works. I guess we'll go inside. So I didn't have like really good hardcore fans who like knew their stuff and like knew exactly what they were looking for, or were like really excited about the new fragrances. And of course, I mean, that's kind of a blanket statement. Of course, I did have a few, like a handful of customers that were regulars that were like really into it and were super nice and stuff. I didn't really have too many strong negative experiences. It was more just kind of like a general like, oh, these people don't really care that much about Bath & Body Works, at least not much as I care about it, if that makes sense. Another disconnect that I would come across is what people like in fragrances, what was popular versus what wasn't. And something that always really surprised me was people were just kind of haters when in stores. Even my coworkers, like none of them would be like into the sweet fragrances or like gourmand fragrances. Like nobody in my store, customer or employee, liked gourmand fragrances. And I find like in the online community, gourmand fragrances are, I would dare say, maybe one of the most popular ones. You know, things like strawberry pound cake, the berry waffle cone, marshmallow pumpkin latte that comes out in the fall. Like all of these like really sweet saturated scents would be really popular online. You see them everywhere and everyone's like ranting and raving about them. And those are the scents that I like. I like things that smell like you could taste them, you know, like the yummy scents, the gourmand, the vanillas, the caramels, that kind of stuff. But in my store, everyone would be like, oh, that stinks, oh, it reeks, and oh, that's too strong, oh, I don't want to smell like cookies, and all this stuff. And they would just kind of be haters on it. And everyone would act like I was super weird for liking these fragrances. And it's like, well, online, everybody likes them. So is it just me or is it just you? Like, so that was kind of a disconnect just in the preference. And that could just be, once again, a locational thing. The fact that the most customers I had were college students, I guess, and maybe they wanted to smell like Thousand Wishes and In the Stars and like more fancy schmancy stuff as opposed to like pancakes or whatever. I don't know. But that was kind of a disconnect that surprised me when I started getting more into like the online communities of Bath & Body Works, is that people actually like the scents that I like too. So I was like, finally, it's not just me. How do the employees really feel about people who buy to exchange for new scents later? The workers at my store are always incredibly nice about it and tell me constantly it's totally cool, but I want to know if it's totally cool or if you guys feel some type of way once we leave. So for me personally, this could vary based on employee. It's fine. It's totally fine. I have no problem with it. So if you are exchanging, like let's say it's Candle Day and you were really hoping to get some limoncello candles, but for some reason we sold out like the first hour of being open and you couldn't come in time. I know I'm gonna get limoncello candles in stock sometime. I don't know when, but it will happen, you know, even if it's a couple months away, it will happen. What I would probably tell you as an employee is like, hey, just grab some of these black cherry merlot candles, however many you want of the limoncello, buy them now, save them in your closet, don't burn them. And then once we get the limoncello back in stock, bring them in and we'll just exchange them. It's totally fine. We have a really great exchange policy at Bath & Body Works where if it's unused, untouched and all that, you know, we'll take it back and we can actually usually resell those items. So no big deal. If you have used it and it is apparent that you enjoyed it and you're just returning it just to make a quick buck or like to take advantage to get extra free product or something like that, then of course we're gonna kind of be like, okay, whatever, and not be too happy about it secretly, whether we're nice about it or not. For me, that's what bothers me, is if I know that the intention isn't good behind it. If the intention is totally innocent behind it and we're still able to sell the product, you know, there's no product waste going on, totally fine to do that. I have no problems with it. I'm curious about member rewards. How come they are only available in certain states? Does Bath & Body Works plan to expand to all stores? Can non-members really use a different zip code from their own to get the rewards? This is all I know about the rewards app. You can only do it if you are in Chicago or California, and it's because it is in the testing phase and they have not officially perfected it to the way that they want to make it so that it's available for everyone. It will happen one day. Like they suggested, I have heard of customers having success just plopping in one of those zip codes, either the Chicago or the California one, but you won't be able to redeem those in your store. You can still redeem those rewards, I believe, through online purchases if you use the fake zip code that isn't actually where you live, but you will not be able to take that app into stores and redeem them from the store because it's just not compatible with all stores. I would have customers come in who actually were from California. We had a lot of travelers because of the university. And so she'd be like, oh, I want to get my free item from my rewards app. And there would be no way that I could actually like scan it through the system and have the system understand what it was. Why does it seem like some popular scents are discontinued? Thinking about Country Chic, Island White Sands, Caribbean Escape, etc. This is my personal opinion on Bath & Body Works retiring fragrances. They usually retire things for a couple different reasons, including A, it could be just that it's the wrong season for it. So at the end of fall, it's time to retire those fragrances because nobody wants fall products anymore. I mean, I do, but you know, we got to keep relevant in the season. So we're going to retire fragrances for seasonality reasons. This is another reason that I see sometimes that fragrances get discontinued. They could be working on a new fragrance, and that new fragrance is slightly too similar to the old fragrance that they don't feel that it's worth it for them to have both in the store. They need to pick one or the other. So like, let's say Love and Sunshine, for instance, had notes of like strawberry, honeysuckle, daisy, I think, and lemon. But then along comes something like Happy Vibes that also has a citrus note, also has a floral note, also has a daisy note. You know, they share some similarities, not necessarily that they're gonna wear the same. Of course, they are different fragrances. And just because you like one doesn't always mean you'll like the other. But to have two fragrances that share a few common notes like that might not be in their best interest because they can only have so many fragrances out at a time on the sales floor or online. So I have seen things get retired and then seen, you know, like a month or 2 months later, a new one will come out and be like, that does share some similarities with it. Not the same, but yeah, I see why they couldn't have two strawberries at the same time or two jasmine scents at the same time. So I have seen that happen before. And then the third reason I see things get retired is because of repackages, honestly. It's not that it's going to be gone forever. It's just that they are going to repackage it. For example, Moonlight Path last winter. I was really surprised to see that they were going to discontinue Moonlight Path. But then, of course, what happens on Body Care Day, the big kind of holiday-esque sale that they have where all the body care is like $5 a piece or something like that, they bring back as a special fragrance Moonlight Path. And, you know, that really encourages people to binge shop. And so that is actually really good for sales because they miss that fragrance. It's one that they love and adore. They get upset when they see it leave. But then when it comes back, it's like, yes, it's back. And so they'll all buy it up. It's just a sales tactic at the end of the day. And they also have to keep relevant and keep things changing because if it were always the same every time, you would lose a good chunk of customers that are there for new things. They want to see new things all the time. It is annoying though when you get your favorite and then they retire it and then they never bring it back. Yeah, it stinks. But do stay tuned because even if it's a few years later, sometimes they'll bring it back or sometimes they'll bring something similar back that you might enjoy too. Last question for today, and then the rest of the questions are going to be answered in a part 2 video, so stay tuned for that. But the last question is, did you ever have customers return empty product to exchange for new product? How do you feel about it? Yeah, that did happen quite a number of times, especially there was a TikTok that had been released, I want to say this was in like 2019, like right before COVID or so. A TikTok was released of a girl showing off like that you can do this because they noticed that we had a really good exchange policy. So prior to this TikTok, we would get the occasional person bringing in something that was like almost empty, and they're like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, it went bad and I don't like the scent anymore. I used to like it, but I don't anymore, you know? And that's kind of cheating, because like if technically it's like 10 years old and you want to exchange it for a new one because it's gone bad, like that's your fault that it went bad and it doesn't smell good, not our fault that the product didn't work according to plan. So the exchange policy really did get taken advantage of after that TikTok had been released. And so always use your best judgment when it comes to a return. Once again, you look at intentions. If you can tell that someone is doing it to make some type of profit or gain from it, that is not right. It would be frustrating, yeah, because then at the end of the day, if you're bringing me back half-used product, I have to throw that product away anyway, and then it takes advantage of it, and then of course the company will get stricter about their policies after a while out of frustration, because they can't just keep taking losses, and then it makes it so the people who do have genuine reasons to return or exchange a product might have stricter rules placed on them, and that's just kind of not fair. So it's just kind of like the yucky thing where leave it to one person to ruin it for everybody kind of mentality. If you do plan on exchanging a product that is used, that's okay. Sometimes it happens where the product isn't working according to plan, especially like candles. If something goes wrong with the candle, it's not burning right or whatever. Or if you find out you have allergic reaction after you've used your lotion like maybe 5 times or something like that. That's fine, it's gonna happen. We ask that the product be like half full or more, and then we'll do the exchange. I think they have gotten stricter now where they won't accept exchanges if they aren't half full. Of course, given employee discretion, sometimes they might. I hope you enjoyed this video. If I didn't answer your question, I will definitely make sure to answer it in the next video that I post, the next Q&A. And if you have a question that you would like answered related to Bath & Body Works, my experience as being an employee, about customers, stories, anything to do with Bath & Body Works, fragrances, recommendations, let me know down in the comments below, and I will also make sure to include those in my next video. Until next time, bye.